What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about SUI today. SUI, SUI, however you want to pronounce it, at the request of Flight Medic. We're doing this for you, my friend. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, you guys, and let's get into it. So, looking at SUI here, or SUI, however you want to pronounce it, I'm just going to call it SUI. If we look at our most relative high in March to our most relative low in August, we can see that we've got these extended areas projected out right here, the 1272, 1414, 1618. We have found resistance recently at the 1414. It's very common, very common to find resistance in this zone when you first break out, and then do one of two things, right? The deeper in the zone you go back, the more likely you are, the deeper in the zone you go up, the more likely you are to hold support in the zone and not have a kind of deeper pullback afterwards. When you find resistance at the 1414, it doesn't condemn you down to these prices, but the door is definitely open for SUI to drop all the way back down to like $1.83 to $2.18. The door is open for that. It's at 376. It had an immaculate move last month. It moved up, how much was it? 76%. The month before, 11%, and the month before that, 122%. Really, for the past like almost half year, you've moved up a total of like 900%, man. A near 10x from low to high. Very massive, very immaculate behavior. You might be due for some kind of correction, and that's okay. I want to see real quick on Binance. Volume came in a little bit, but still dying off here. Okay, so if you look at the volume reads on Binance, they're a little bit different than the volume reads we get on Coinbase, right? Volume's dying off here, but the thing is, Coinbase, its highest volume read here is about 405 million. Binance, its highest volume read is about 1 billion. So not even close, right? This might be a more significant volume kind of standard to go off of, but at any rate, both are showing volume is decreasing as you're moving up, right? Both are showing this bearish divergence as you're moving up, right? You've got bearish divergence there on the weekly. We go back to Coinbase, if we can. You've also got bearish divergence here on the weekly, okay? I am going to use the Binance chart because it seems to have more historical data, does it not? A little bit more. Okay, so, and more volume, why not? So we have bearish divergence. That's normally good for a move down to where the divergence formed, which would be right here. We've already moved back through it. It's very possible that SUI could have found its low and it's on its way higher, right? I did say that oftentimes from a high to a low, you find resistance in this area, right? The deeper up you go, the better of a chance is that you find support at the 1272. Now, the 1414 is not the deepest area you can go to in this whole range, but it is the midway point. And it is possible that you could be finding support on your 1272. This is exactly what you'd want to see if you were to progress higher in a relatively short amount of time to the 1618 or higher, right? So I'm not necessarily calling for SUI to have a massive pullback, even with this bearish divergence, even with the divergence in the volume. I got to admit, the Coinbase volume, it was looking like this. It was really making me think that we'd go back down here. But the Binance volume came in and saved the day a little bit, I think. But you're not off the hook. You absolutely still could move back down below $2.20. You're at $3.75 now. Daily price targets, let's see. A little bit more severe bearish divergence there. Had some nice volume come in, but it didn't take you anywhere, so of course you sold off. Higher lows though, very nice wick coming in. Not a lot of volume on the sell-off. You probably actually had more volume on that low. Yeah, bro, you had a lot of volume on that low. That's a good look. Normally, I would probably call for you to move down lower, but this is SUI and this is crypto. I think you might actually have higher to go before you move lower. So let's call for that. What I think you're going to do over the next week and a half, like most cryptos, you're going to be boring, maybe slightly moving down. But what you're probably going to do is you're going to be range bound between about $4.15 to $3.35, 33 cents. Range bound up until about Christmas week, until like the 20th of December or around there, and you'll start to move up again, reaching for this 618 probably by the end of the year, if not by the end of January. But I bet by the end of the year you're up at the 618 at like 560, and you probably do 570. I'm sorry, and you probably do work higher going into January. But SUI let's not forget, has been on an immaculate run since August. Most coins did not start moving up until November or even this month of December, right? Most coins have not started moving up until later. You have been on a bit more of a prolonged period up. This next move up, I would expect for SUI, is going to bring about a more serious phase of consolidation. You might see it consolidate for like a month, maybe longer than that. So be prepared. I would expect at least 570 to come into play. I'm expecting most cryptos to top off at the end of January, but SUI might top off at the end of December. When I say top off, I don't mean the end of the cycle top. I just mean a momentary top off, right? Like how this was a top off, right? Like this. But overall, you kept moving up still, right? So for SUI, I could see this topping off at the end of the month. And it would make sense that it does because it's been moving up so much. And that 1618 by the end of the month, very doable target, especially with the time frame that I laid out. I think that you move sideways for the next week, week and a half, and then we start to pump up going into the end of the month at 570, tipping your 1618 for resistance before you consolidate for a longer period of time, and then maybe you find support at your 1272 area, the same area you're bouncing from now, just to move up higher later. I could see all those things happening. So essentially what I'm calling for in the most summarized form of talking, you're at $3.76 now. I think you range between about $4.15 and $3.33 for the next week and a half. And then around the 20th of December, probably just before the 20th, 18th, 19th, 20th, maybe just after the 20th, you start to break out, you start to move higher than 415, and you're on your way to 570. I think you'll be at 570, if not by the end of this month, within like the first week of January. And then from there, a more prolonged phase of consolidation. That probably takes a month, maybe two, maybe three at the most, but I doubt it. Probably about a month or so is what I would think. But that's all I got for you guys. If you liked the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Absolutely, I'm calling for SUI to top off with this move. Absolutely, I'm calling for it to top off before most of the market tops off, right? It might top off a month earlier. It might top off weeks earlier. But why SUI can't do that? If the market's moving up, it's going to go with it. No, you've already proved it can't be one way when it's in your favor and not that way whenever it's not in your favor, right? Whenever it was in your favor, SUI was doing its own thing. It was moving up. The rest of the market wasn't moving up. A lot of coins were moving down during this time. Bitcoin certainly wasn't breaking out to new all-time highs, right? Up until November. Right? So then around this time, that's when crypto started to really pump. SUI had already been pumping from there. So SUI was doing its own thing this whole time. Okay. All I'm saying is if it tops off by the end of this month, like I'm predicting it could around 570, then it would just continue to do its own thing as it's been doing. It could consolidate a little bit. It could consolidate longer than most cryptos even. And what I would expect actually is probably what it does is it tops off before most cryptos. It probably bottoms out before most cryptos too, and it starts running. So you might get this selling off before most of the market, but you're also probably going to resume moving up just like you did here before most of the market. That's my thoughts, right? You don't need, this is living proof of you don't need Bitcoin or the rest of crypto to move up. There are coins that they deviate from the pack, and this is definitely one of them. So all that to say, this next move up, when it happens, which is probably Christmas week and onward, wherever your high is, which I think it'll be around 570 to $6, that's likely going to be your next kind of momentary high where you see some kind of more, I would say a more consistent consolidation phase than this, something that's larger maybe than anything you've seen since you've like really been breaking out here. If you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I got nothing else to say. Take care. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.